fake opinion polls which were discounted on the ballot. The media had false narratives against the candidature of William Ruto and I. As late of last week, the Standard media, against all known journalistic ethics, ran a headline that Gachagua and his wife had asked for 1.5 billion. All the other newspapers reported correctly. They went ahead to say that Gachagua had demanded for 1.5 billion, which was untrue. Gachagua does not demand for any money. The office of the Deputy President is a public office that is supposed to be funded from the public. Gachagua, the Deputy President, has a spouse, not a wife. It was a very biased piece of journalism. They went ahead to say that Gachagua demanded. The former minister had said they had requested on behalf of the Deputy President and his office. There is nowhere he talked of a demand. But the Standard newspaper, that has been very biased against our administration, went ahead to write lies to the people of Kenya. And we are saying, much as we respect the freedom of the press, when you go haywire, when you degenerate into gutter press and yellow journalism, we'll call you out. Just as we respect your right to call us out. So it's a mutual relationship. And the media cannot arrogate itself the moral high ground that it can criticize others, but cannot be criticized where they go wrong. You, the media, carried fake opinion polls. The people of Kenya, on the 9th of August, put you to shame. And we kept on saying these are sponsored polls. And we called you out. We saw owners of media stations on top of a lorry, a media owner campaigning for Azimio. That is not objectivity. We had to call them out. So if you want respect, it's mutual. Be objective, observe the code of ethics, and don't be biased. Be objective. So what Senator Aaron Cheriot said is that among the people we are looking at is the media, because the way they are behaving is not right. I have seen you people, the media, when we had the previous administration and prices of food were high, you never wrote a story. Today, even when those prices have gone down, it's a headline every day. You are not objective, and that is the truth.
Now,
and we shall continue. We shall continue every day. I would have been concerned if any journalist had been harmed by anybody. If you had come to this home and you are locked out, you have not been locked out. You cover the president, you cover myself, you cover all our ministers, and nobody has stopped you. But you cannot gag us from giving an opinion of what we think is your performance. That is our right as Kenyans. Much as the media freedom is enshrined in the Constitution, our freedom of speech equally is guaranteed by the very Constitution.
There was a journalist who was attacked in Muranga at the your spouse's event. You've said you've not heard. There's a journalist under Nation Media Group who was attacked in Muranga.
That journalist who had a scuffle with the security personnel attacked to the spouse of the Deputy President has had 4 other scuffles with the security personnel along the way. That journalist comes to meetings drunk all the time. And what will happen is the security people have to do their work. If you come, you are drunk and disorderly in a meeting. Even if you are a journalist, you are not above the law. And that is not the first situation. That was the 4th. He had 3 other incidences with former Deputy President, now President William Ruto. And it is his habit. Every time there is a meeting in Muranga, he turns up drunk, becomes unruly, and the security personnel, just as the media have a job to do, they also have a job to do to protect the person they have been assigned to protect.
Thank you. Na Mheshimiwa Naibu wa Rais, tukisalia tu kwenye hilo swala kuhusiana na uhuru wa vyombo vya habari, unahisi ya kwamba maneno ambayo yanatumika na wale viongozi ambao wanasema ya kwamba wanahabari pengine wana kasoro fulani ni maneno ambayo yanafaa? Kwa mfano, unapotumia maneno kama cartels ama hiyo kucrash, unaona ya kwamba pengine mnastahili kutumia njia gani angalau kupeleka malalamishi kwa wale ambao wanastahili?
We'll continue talking about cartels. We know some of the cartels even own media stations. That we know. So it is absolutely correct when the media stations try to protect the cartels, because 2 media stations are owned by the very cartels we are fighting. And we are going to fight these cartels because we have a responsibility as leaders of this country to make sure that we protect the farmers from exploitation. Okay. We make sure we protect consumers from exploitation by cartels who had been perpetuated by state capture and conflict of interest. So we know that 2 media stations are owned by the very cartels we have a problem with.
Okay, but Deputy President, Excellency Gachagua, you are in position of power as the second senior most employee, and that mandate you enjoy from the people. Have you lodged complaint as per the laid down procedures, for example, institutions within the media framework? I mean, there is vagueness about people you want to name. You're saying issues of cartels, but have you followed the right procedures and channels as laid down in law?
I am a leader in this country. One of my duties is to comment publicly about the issues that I think I need to comment on. I have no faith in that mechanism, because that mechanism that regulates the conduct of the media watched as the media went rogue, as the media became biased against William Ruto and they never raised a finger. So asking us to go and complain to the Media Council is a waste of time, because when the media went against us, bare knuckles, headline after headline, calling us thieves without evidence, calling us all sorts of names without evidence. We did not complain because it would have been a useless venture to complain. All we do ourselves are answerable to the people of Kenya, and our bosses are the people of Kenya. So what happens when we find something that we don't think is right? We tell the people of Kenya and we leave it at that. Thank you.
Unfortunately, that is the rule of law. So are you saying you will disregard the rule of law? Because the rule of law says if there are issues, you follow the channel and raise with the media.
Once we raise the issues to the public, we consider the matter as good as prosecuted. In fact, we have done well. That is why you are raising the issues, which means our concerns have started being addressed. You decide what to do. You may have a matter with somebody, and you may decide just to talk to that person and not pursue him in court. In matters media bias, we will raise it with the people of Kenya. When we find you have gone out of the way, we will raise it with the people of Kenya. And I want to call out the Standard newspaper. They owe the office of the Deputy President an apology. And I would like to explain. Riggy Gachagua, as Deputy President, has not requested for any money to his office. What you must know, and I want to take some bit of time to explain to you, is that Ukuru Yatani, the former CS National Treasury, in conjunction with Kennedy Abogwa, the then controller of State House, who was the accounting officer for both the office, both State House and the office of the Deputy President, under the direction of President Uhuru Kenyatta, cut all funds to the office of the Deputy President. For 4 years, President William Ruto, then Deputy President, fueled GK cars from his own pocket. For 4 years, he bought tea for his office. For 4 years, he paid electricity bills for his office. For 4 years, he paid allowances to staff accompanying him across the country. And when he became the president-elect, these 2 officers who were attending meetings in his office were embarrassed, and they sought to undo the damage of what they had done to save their face. Previously, the previous year, the budget of the office of the Deputy President was 4 billion shillings. They went ahead and cut 1.5 billion shillings. That is what they were trying to reinstate. And the Deputy President, Riggy Gachagua, had nothing to do with it. That is their work. So when the Standard newspaper was trying to assist the attorney to divert attention from the real issues, the real issue was that in the dying hours of the Uhuru administration, President Uhuru Kenyatta pushed the controller of budget through Yatani, and is documented through WhatsApp messages, to pay 15 billion shillings in 26 minutes. Money that we shall give you details of how it was stolen. And the Standard newspaper was trying to divert attention by letting the people digress from the theft of 15 billion shillings in 26 minutes in the dying hours of the Uhuru administration by trying to say that the deputy president had requested 1.5 billion shillings. Even if he had requested, he had not stolen the money.
Okay.
A request is just a request. But in this matter, no request was made from my office. It is the controller of State House who made a request, and they were trying to undo the damage they had done to President William Ruto to save their face. So I would like to say, when such issues happen, we shall call you out, because we expect the media also to be responsible.
Okay.
And we expect the media to know the elections are over. Okay. Azimio lost. We know you went to bed with them. Can you stop living in denial and get back to work and work professionally and objectively and report to the people of Kenya the happenings as they unfold?
Okay.
Your Excellency, Section 27 of the Media Council Act, I want to go back there. Section 27 of the Media Council Act establishes a Media Complaints Commission. One of the main mandates of that commission is to handle complaints from the public. You've clearly stated that you are not going to seek redress through, such mechanisms. Does that mean that now we have two sets of rules, one for the common Mwananchi and then others for the Deputy President?
Absolutely no. You have a choice whether to complain or not. Even in normal times, there is somebody who can abuse you, and you decide to live with it. You don't have to report because there is a law against abuses. It's your choice. In our cases, we are leaders. Once we have let the people of Kenya know that the standard is biased, we leave it there. It is the people to judge. And the fact that you guys now are feeling it is very good for us. It's very good for our democracy, because we are having this discussion. You expect to be biased, to be subjective, but you don't want to be questioned by anybody. Yet, every day you hold us to account. You hold everybody to account. You don't have that preserve. That is only you who can hold others to account. The media too must be held to account. And we'll call you out when you become biased, when you are not objective. We have a right as leaders, as a country, as a people, equally to call you out.
Okay. Excellency, before we move to the next itemized agenda, which is on governance, one final question on this. We are a democracy, and you have stated that. You have the right to be offended and the right not to be offended in democracy, because we are a secular society. And the media professionals have largely adhered to the code of principle and ethics, which is objectivity and the right to fair coverage for all the parties. You have talked about crushing in terms of political. You have said you will not complain as per the laid out procedure, and that you will complain to the people. The people voted for the constitution, which provides for that avenue. We're still hanging, there's something loose about it. Are you assuring the Kenyan people that the freedom of media in Kenya is here to stay for this administration?
The freedom of media is here to stay, but you are saying that you have done objective and fair coverage. That is a lie. During the last election, in Citizen News, they would give Raila Odinga 20 minutes and give President William Ruto 3 minutes. We complained, we stopped complaining because nothing was being done about it. Raila Odinga was being given free live coverage. 5 days before the election, on Saturday, I think the 6th, I approached Inoro station. I said I want to buy live coverage. They charged me 4.6 million. I said I'll pay. On the last day, they said, no, we can't give you live coverage. Keep your money.
Thank you.
And I was paying for the space. Because Uhuru Kenyatta knew that if I had 2 hours on Inoro TV, 5 days before the election, I would talk to the Kikuyu nation.
Thank you.
The media has not been fair. It has not been balanced. Probably now that we are having this conversation, it is about time that the media consider that these airwaves that you enjoy belong to the public.
Thank you.
You have a responsibility to provide fair and objective coverage to all political players within the Kenyan political space.
Thank you, Excellency. We now move to the next item, which is on governance and institutions underneath the Constitution, and Jesse Rogers will be taking us through that.
Okay, Your Excellency, perhaps just to begin on matters governance, I'd like to touch on your declaration that government appointments are sort of a preserve of those who voted in favor of the Kenya Kwanza government. Just perhaps to put the words into context, quote unquote, this is what you mentioned, the government is a company that has shares, there are owners who have majority shares and those with just a few, while others do not have any. You invested in this government, you must reap. That's what you're quoted as saying. And as a matter of fact, we believe today you agitated for the same message at Tharaka Nithi County while you were with the president. And that begs the question, this is a symbol of national unity, the presidency. And in fact, is it your sincere thought that this is how governments should work?
Thank you very much for asking that question. It's a very pertinent question. What I said in Kericho, and I believe in it, is that a government is like a company. I didn't say a government is a company. I said it's like a company. In every company, there are shares. Preferential shares, ordinary shares. When there is an AGM, non-shareholders do not attend the AGM. When there are dividends to be divided, they are divided according to the number of shares. That is the truth. What I said is that as a government, in terms of development, in terms of public resources, all Kenyans must be treated equally. And the president does not dish out development. Appropriation of funds for development is done by the National Assembly, and all parties are represented through the budget cycle. And therefore, the issue of discrimination, in far as resources are concerned, is non-existent. All Kenyans are taxpayers, and the government of President William Ruto and I will serve all Kenyans equally in matters of development. In fact, last month, the president and I, an entire government, were in Luo Nyanza, where we were not voted in what I would call an acceptable manner. We got very few votes, and we are thankful for those few votes. We were in Siaya, unveiling development projects. We were in Homa Bay. We were doing 2,000 affordable housing. We were doing a PIA at Homa Bay. We were in Kisumu. Because even if those people did not vote for us, they are Kenyans and they pay taxes. But when it comes to forming government, no president anywhere in the world would invite people to his government who do not believe in him, who do not believe in his agenda, who cannot support him because they don't understand his agenda. And that is where the issue of shares came. That it is by the number of shares that you have in that administration that demonstrates your commensurate commitment to the success of that government. And I gave an example. I said if you are a farmer and you are planting, you plant, you wind, you apply fertilizer, you irrigate. When the time comes to harvest, you go to the shamba and harvest. But a fellow who was standing by the fence, shouting at you and saying, you farmer, you are foolish. That maize you are planting will get nowhere. That seed is rotten. This farming cannot succeed in this area. Farming is not a good thing as we are livestock herders. How then can you invite that person to come and assist you to harvest? He doesn't believe in you. What I said in parables, and I like using figurative language because I'm a student of literature, and it's one of the most effective ways of communicating to the people, especially the people down there at the bottom of the pyramid. And that's my gift. I talk to the people directly. What I was saying, the people who are opposed to President William Ruto, saying that he's a thief, he's incapable of running this country, he has no agenda. The bottom-up economic transformative agenda is useless. There is no way we can allow him to invite those people to his cabinet, to be his principal secretaries, to be ambassadors. They do not believe in him. They do not believe in his agenda. How then can they come and demand to be included in that government? That's what I was saying.
Okay.
When I go to State House, and I said, I fight them there. Every day. That's what I said. I fight them there. People who are shouting at President William Ruto, saying he is useless, he is a thief, he will ruin this country. And they are there lining up that they want to be given positions. I say, no, let us first give positions to those who believe in President William Ruto, to those who believe in the bottom-up economic transformative agenda. Those are the people who will help him. And let me tell you, before you tell me, that is a mistake President Uhuru Kenyatta made. He went and brought people through the handshake who did not believe in the Big Four agenda, who did not believe in the Jubilee agenda, people who had been opposed to his leadership, people who had been opposed to his economic programs. He brought them into his government. What happened? Everything came to a standstill. The economy got destroyed. By the time he left, the country was finished. We cannot make that mistake. And that is what I meant. But in matters development, in matters public resources, every Kenyan will benefit from this government.
Your Excellency, with all due respect, Article 38 of the Constitution talks about political rights in the sense that every citizen is free to make political choices. That is a fundamental right and freedom.
Absolutely.
So what are you saying by saying the former president made a mistake to bring other people who never supported him into government? And what are you saying? Because if it's a right for every Kenyan to make a choice,
it's a right.
And then tied to Article 131 as the presidency, the symbol of unity.
That is true.
So in essence,
that is true, but choices have consequences. That is true. It's a political right to choose whoever you want, but choices have consequences.
Okay.
There is no way you can say you don't believe in William Ruto. You don't believe in his programs. You don't believe in his what he stands for, and then you want to be a member of his cabinet. How can you help him to transform the country? How can you help him govern? What I'm saying is, even in those areas where we were not voted for, we have people in the cabinet who believe in us. It does not mean because that area did not vote for us, everybody in that area does not believe in us. Eliud Awalo from Siaya believed in William Ruto and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And that is why today he is cabinet secretary for ICT. Raymond Omolo, he believed in Dr. William Ruto and the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. That is today why he is the PS for Interior. Mr. Kobundo is the CS for Trade. We are saying in every part of the country, there are those who believed in President William Ruto and his programs. So what we are telling Azimio people, when you make a bed, you must lie on it.
Okay.
Don't force us to take people who don't believe in us. Among your support base, we have people who believe in us. Those are the ones we shall choose, and those are the ones who will join our government. And in every part of this country, every community is represented. The issue we have with Azimio, they want us to bring us Azimio people in our government.
But Deputy President,
because they sabotage our government, the way they sabotage the Uhuru Kenyatta, we cannot agree.
Deputy President, in all fairness, you know, you can say whatever you've said, but the Azimio people are not here to say they're not lining at State House for government.
You will call them to ask them.
But in all fairness, I'm saying, can you maybe say a few names, one or two, who are these people?
I don't have to say because, let me tell you, these people, one, they say they don't recognize President William Ruto, and they don't recognize his government. Then the following day they are saying this government is discriminating against us. How? If you don't believe in the president, if you don't believe in his government, how then do you expect to be included in his government, and you have said yourself publicly in broad daylight that you don't recognize him, that he is not in office legally, yet you are claiming you want your supporters who are clapping when you are saying you don't recognize William Ruto to be in your government. On a further note, when we try to reach out to everybody for national cohesion, for national unity, we hosted members of parliament from ODM, from Luo Nyanza. What happens? They were de-whipped, they were threatened, they were thrown out of meetings. So these people, they are speaking from both sides of the mouth. They are saying on one hand, we want to be included in the government of President William Ruto. On another hand, they are saying we don't recognize President William Ruto. When a few leaders decide that it makes sense to engage the president, to discuss development with him, because the elections are over, they go and have a meeting with the president. The MP for Langata Jalango was thrown out of the meeting. The other 9 MPs are at the siege. The party leader of ODM is fighting them in every meeting for going to engage with the president. What do these people from Azimio want from us? One, they say they don't recognize us. On the other hand, they want to be part of government. When we say, okay, come, we talk, they discipline the people who have come to speak to us. What are we supposed to do?
Okay, Excellency, and just as we wrap upon this, there are two contrasting issues here. You have talked about the masses and the people who you said are lining up at State House looking for opportunities in government. I mean, the Constitution only recognizes Kenyans as one. There are no primary or secondary Kenyans. Two, during your oath of office on the 13th of September, you said that you will administer this country as the deputy president without fear, favor, or ill will. There is the aspect of qualification, competence, hard work, and meritocracy. I mean, when you describe the country as a shareholding company, figuratively you said, this is so inferior to the position of the Constitution that establishes this country as a constitutional democracy. This coming from the deputy president, isn't it appalling that you said the Kenya is more or less a shareholding company?
There's nothing appalling. It depends on the way you look at it. The people I was speaking to are more than happy. I spoke today in Tharaka. It was thunderous reception. They associate with those comments. That is the political reality of this country. Move away from theory. Governments all over the world come with their own people when they form government. And they don't go to look outside there. They look from among people they know. People who believe in what they stand for. As deputy president, I took an oath of office to serve the whole country. That is why I spent 3 days in Luo Nyanza. I was in Siaya. I was in Homa Bay. I was in Kisumu. But that does not mean for me to look national. I get somebody who was abusing President William Ruto, saying that he is not capable, that he has no idea how to run the country, and bring him into his government so that he comes and sabotage the government from within. I am saying, once bitten, twice shy. President Uhuru Kenyatta made that mistake. He brought characters into his government who did not believe in him, who did not believe in his agenda, and in the process, they messed the whole 4 big agenda. They messed the whole Jubilee transformative agenda because they did not believe in it. William Ruto will not make that mistake. He'll embrace all Kenyans from all communities, but the people to help him manage the affairs of this country are those who believe in him, are those who believe in the bottom-up economic transformative agenda, and those who believe in his leadership. Those are the men and women from across Kenya, from all communities, that he'll assemble to help him to govern this country.
Your Excellency, just a quick one. Your Excellency, to some they say you appear to be always in a combative mode. Some say at any opportunity with a mic you lecture Kenyans. Is the truthful man a bitter man?
Kenyans, just like I said, have a right to say what they want. This is democracy. Kenyans have every right to describe a character. I am a person, and you should have known me by now. I speak from my heart. I say what is in my heart. I'm a truthful man. I'm an honest man. Kenyans are not used to honesty. And many people have a problem with that. And I want to tell you, let me tell you, my brother, you people of the media, demeaned me. You called me names. You drew caricatures against me. You said I'm uncatchered, I'm uncouth, I am a villager, I am all that. But on the 9th of August, the people of Kenya, 7.2 million Kenyans disagreed with you and say this man called Rigathi Gachagua, we like his style of leadership, he's a truthful, he's an honest man, we can entrust him with leadership. I accept and welcome criticism from the media, from the social media, from everybody. But let me tell you, nobody will ever change me. I am natural. I will never change my language. I will never change my character. I will never change the way I speak. I will always speak from my heart. Unless the people of Kenya tell me to stop. And as I go around the country, because I do, I'm everywhere. Kenyans urge me on. Yeah, they urge me on. So, but I welcome criticism from the media, social media, from columnists. They are all welcome to criticize me. And myself, I know who are my employers. I know who matters in the whole of this equation. I know my preferences. I know who matters. That person who matters to me and my leadership is the one I normally talk to, not the media. You only quote me, by the way. I normally don't address you. I address the people. I talk to Kenyans, and I have a chemistry with the Kenyan people. And I'm persuaded I'm on the right track. and I'm not going to change. I will remain a natural person.
Your Excellency, you've talked about cohesion and reaching out to members, or rather leaders from the opposition side. You've said that you invited some ODM MPs in Parliament, and later on they were de-whipped. What criteria did you use? Did you just cherry pick, or you issued the invites to everyone, including the party leader, ODM leader Raila Odinga?
We talk to those who want to talk to us. People reach out. We have talked to Jubilee. They reached us out. We said, welcome. Those ODM members of Parliament reached out to us. We said, welcome. We are willing to engage with anybody who has an idea on how we can improve our economy, on how we can make this country better, on how we can improve the living standards of our people. The doors of President William Ruto are open. My doors are open. You have seen, I embrace leaders like Honorable Kanini Kega, who used to abuse me and say that I should go to prison in Nyeri so that the locals can be bringing me uji. But I embraced him because he reached out. We are not bitter with anybody. What people mistake with bitterness is the truth. You know, many people do not want to hear the truth. When I said in Kasarani that we inherited a dilapidated economy, people thought that I'm bitter with President Uhuru Kenyatta. I was just simply being honest. When I said we got empty coffers, I was simply being honest. People mistake honesty with bitterness. We harbor no bitterness. We have come in, Jubilee people are with us, ODM people are with us. We have taken action against nobody. We have not used the criminal justice system to hunt anybody. We are open. We are saying, come, talk. We work together. We are willing. We have no problem with anybody.
Na matamshi yako kuhusiana na kukaribisha viongozi wote na ya kwamba kama serikali ya Kenya Kwanza mko tayari kuzungumza na kiongozi kutoka upande wote, na tumeshuhudia wengi wakija pale State House ambapo wamezungumza na rais. Je, ni dalili ya handshake? Na vile vile kama Kenya Kwanza unaweza ukasema sasa hivi ya kwamba hauna machungu na wale viongozi ambao wakati wa kampeni walikuwa hawaungi mkono upande wa Kenya Kwanza?
I have no bitterness with anybody. Honorable Kanini Kega used all sorts of insults against me. He was instrumental in my problems. He's the one who was working with Uhuru Kenyatta to persecute me. But when he reached me out, I'm a leader, and the elections are over. I told Kanini Kega, come, we work together. I am willing to talk to anybody who wants to talk to us. And we are talking to many people. Some come during the day, others come at night, depending on how they look at things. I'll continue to talk to leaders at night. We'll continue to talk to leaders during the day. And those who are willing to talk to us, we are ready. President William Ruto and I are Christians. We are not faithful. We have no bitterness against anybody. All we are saying is that we must be truthful. If that truth cuts somebody, so be it. There's nothing we can do about it. You know, sometimes when we speak the truth, you think we are against so-and-so, or we are bitter. We have no bitterness with anybody. We are good people. We've got a big heart. We want to embrace everybody. Let us come and build this country together.
On that bit, Mr. Deputy President, someone would argue that you people, even after you were sworn in, you said you want a strong opposition. But here today, your party, UDA, is looking for, to cut MPs from ODM and Azimio and other parties, including Jubilee Party. Are you not weakening the same opposition? You said you want a strong opposition.
We are not quoting anybody, they are quoting us. What do you want us to do when they come to us? When Jubilee MPs want to see the president, he is the president of Kenya, including those Jubilee characters. He is their president. He is the father figure of this country. When they come knocking, our doors are open. We will not lock anybody out. In fact, we believe in very strong opposition. In fact, the problems of this country began with a handshake when we killed the opposition and got involved in a mongrel of a government. You don't know who is opposition and who is government. And there was no check and balance. And theft and plunder of resources started from that day. The president has recommended to the National Assembly various amendments to the Constitution to create the office of the leader of official opposition so that whoever is there has a platform, a legal platform, to go to the National Assembly funded by the state with vehicles, with support staff, with research staffers to provide effective oversight on government. We have no intention whatsoever to muscle the opposition. We actually want to strengthen the opposition. And that's why we are saying we have no need for handshake. And by the way, there will be no handshake with anybody. If those people want to talk to us on matters of development, we are ready. But them coming to join government, no. We want the opposition to remain strong. We want them to agree with our people in the National Assembly. They agree and amend the Constitution, create the office of the leader of official opposition by law so that he gets resources, so that he gets support to provide oversight of a government. A strong opposition is a good thing for any country. And we want a strong opposition.
On that bit, your new SecGen of UDA, Cleophas Malala, is on record saying that you as a party, UDA, you want other parties, affiliate parties in Kenya Kwanza to fold. Do you still hold that thought, that even ANC, the other parties, including PA, including Ford Kenya, do you still want them to fold?
That is Malala's idea of making UDA as a strong party. Cleo Malala is a very energetic young leader, and I really have a lot of time for him. When President William Ruto and I and our National Executive Council decided to pick him to be the Secretary General of UDA, is because we really appreciated his qualities, his energy, his passion and vigor. And that is what we need for a party. Probably his style is a little bit different. I have discussed with him. We don't want to coerce anybody to fold up. That is not necessary. He can make an invitation for people to fold up and join UDA. They don't have to. And we are happy the way we are in Kenya Kwanza. We are happy with the existing framework. But if along the way, the constituent parties consider it desirable to fold up and join UDA, so be it. If they want to remain independent within the Kenya Kwanza framework, so be it. Okay. So it was just Malala's way of bringing energy into the party. And the president and I have told him to proceed, to market the party, to make it very vigorous, to make it very, very active. But we don't want to coerce anybody. Anybody, if ANC want to come and fold up, fair enough. If they don't want, fair enough. We just proceed.
Okay, Excellency. Before we proceed to the next topic, which is of concern to the Kenyan people, the cost of living and the economy, which Eric will be starting us off. One final question on governance. And one of the premise upon which your government was formed, and you told the Kenyan people this is a listening government, is the aspect of the rule of law and constitutionalism. You were recently in Nakuru County in defiance of a court order. Why?
I was not in defiance of any court order because none had been served on me.
Okay, let me just cut you. This was in relation to the recalling of Peter Mwanzo, the former Nakuru County commander, who was in Nakuru County to Vigilance House. And you said you went there knowingly that these people are not going anywhere. That's what you said. I quote you verbatim. I've come here with iron sheets, food, and 10,000 for each of the family evicted. The county commander has been removed. Two quick questions there. Why did you defy a court order? And was the former county commander recalled to Vigilance House by that directive that you made in Nakuru County?
I did not defy any court order because none was served on me. You defy a court order if it has been served on you. Let me say the following. We are a country of the rule of law. We are a country that obeys court orders. There was no court order, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, were you issued with a court order?
No, I have not been issued.
You were not party, though. So there were two parties in court.
Listen, let me finish.
Allow me to get the...
I know what you are saying.
Okay.
I'm explaining.
Okay, but you are not party.
That court order did not direct the police commander to oversee the destruction of property. That court order did not direct the police commander to oversee brutal eviction of children and women. That court order called for eviction. It did not call for brutal eviction of children and women. It did not call for destruction of property. What we have told police, and I want to repeat here for the record, if there is a court order asking police to provide security for eviction, that order should be obeyed. but there is a way to obey it.
Which is the way?
I am explaining.
Okay.
You table that order before the county security intelligence team to discuss the manner of eviction. One, to ensure there is no eviction done at night. There will be no night eviction in this country as long as William Ruto is president. Why do you want to evict people at night? So that you steal their property, so that there is no accountability, you rape women, you rape children. There is nobody in this country, as long as William Ruto is president, no police officer anywhere in this country will oversee an eviction at night. That is one. That eviction was done at night. As a signal had been issued when President William Ruto came to office by the Inspector General of Police, directing all police commanders in Kenya that there shall never be a night eviction. That is why we removed him. During the night, property belonging to those poor men was stolen. Women were raped. Property was destroyed. I am Deputy President of William Ruto. I cannot sit in Nairobi when an overzealous police officer, using police officers paid by the public, using guns owned by the people of, by the taxpayers, using ammunition go and oversee the people of Kenya.
Just on yes or no is aspect, because still to quote you verbatim, you said any police commander should notify the County Security Committee and Intelligence before executing any orders for eviction. If evictions have to be done for whatever reason, even with court order, it has to be discussed by the County Security Committee. We have instructed the Attorney General to review the case. If that court order then, and the evictions as per the order happened during the day, will you defy the court order?
Nobody, the court order will be obeyed, but its implementation will be done according to our rules.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Just on that, and very briefly, before we move on to the next topic of discussion, when the Kenya Kwanza administration took over, you said that you're handing the National Police Service its own budget to make it independent. Are you confirming now that the executive still has a hand in how the National Police Service operates?
The police service, the National Police Service is independent. We have given the Inspector General financial autonomy. He is now the accounting officer.
Okay.
He needs no direction from anybody on how to work. But the government also has policies. And the Inspector General of Police has been hired by President William Ruto. President William Ruto has a manifesto. He has a covenant with the people of Kenya. One of the things that we agreed with the people of Kenya is that there will be no brutal evictions at night. When President William Ruto hired Japheth Kome as IG, he made it very clear to him on what had been agreed on. with the people of Kenya. And before he took the job, he agreed that the policies that had been agreed on in matters policing will be observed. Okay. And let me tell you, we have a very, very professional Inspector General of Police, Japheth Kobe. We have a very professional CS for Interior, Professor Kindiki. Other than that one isolated incident, we have not had any other. And that is very good. Okay. You know, since we came in, today is 6 months, since we were sworn in,
7 months.
On the 13th. I think it's 6. We were sworn in on 13th of September.
13th September.
So I think it's 6 months today. We have not had any violation of what we agreed with the Inspector General of Police. And I'm very happy myself. Even when I discussed with the IG on that issue, he dealt with it very fast. And action was taken, and things have been normalized.
Thank you.
We do not interfere with the way police carry out their operations, but there are certain policies that were a covenant between the people of Kenya and President William Ruto. And all those who have given jobs must adhere to those policies.
Fair enough, sir. Let's talk about the cost of living. And one of the things that we have to talk about is the cost of power. And I want to quote the chair of the Presidential Council of Economic Advisors, that is David D. I believe that his position is the official government of Kenya position. Using his verified Twitter handle, he said on power bills, we have two choices: costly power available 24/7, or cheap power available a few hours a day like South Africa. And he went ahead to say, if you care to peruse our manifesto, you would have noted that cheap power does not feature in our pledges on electricity. But your manifesto actually had promised to lower the cost of electricity in a 3-point plan. Referencing that tweet by David D, I have two questions. When should Kenyans expect the cost of electricity to be lowered? And two, is the government planning to introduce power rationing?
First and foremost, David D is an advisor to the president. He does not pronounce policy. Public policy is pronounced by the president, the deputy president, and the respective cabinet secretary. So I would not want to go into that as far as I'm concerned. If that pronouncement came from the CS Davis Churchill, I'll be able to talk on it. I want to say that the government is concerned about the cost of power. And a lot of things are happening behind the scenes. We are having a problem because of the prolonging drought and the effects of climate change and 5 failed consecutive seasons. All electricity generated through hydro, there's a problem. And in another 2-3 weeks, we'll have a very serious shortage. So the idea has been to expand to geothermal, solar energy, and wind energy, progressively in terms of long-term solutions. Because like the independent power producers are very expensive because they use diesel, and diesel is very expensive. Even in your own home, you have a standby generator, you know how expensive it is. So the government is well sized that the issue of cost of power is affecting the economy badly because it brings up the cost of manufacturing, and that cost of manufacturing due to cost of power is passed to the consumer. So along the way, there are many things going on which I don't want to delve in at this stage because they are still at the policy level. They are still at the discussion in cabinet. I don't want to diverge what is going on in cabinet, but I want to assure the people of Kenya that there is a big team of men and women, experts on power, who are burning the midnight oil to come up with sources of alternative energy with a view of bringing the cost of power down to boost manufacturing and production. Because as long as the cost of power is up, we will not be able to bring down the cost of living. So it is something that there is a team of men and women who are working day and night. And in the next several weeks, there will be a policy pronouncement on that aspect of what the government intends to do to bring down the cost of power.
Is rationing an option on the table?
I can't say at this stage. I am hoping we'll not get a South African state where we have to ration.
Okay.
I hope we will not be able to get there. I was in South Africa in December, and it's not a very decent way of life. But I am saying that discussion is going on. We need to appraise the situation. What are the water levels? What is the amount of power we can get from the hydro dams? What is it that we can get from geothermal? What is it we can get from solar? What is it we can get from wind? What is it that we can get from across the country? Against our overall requirement. And then decisions will be made depending on the deficit.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Deputy President, looking at the cost of basic commodities such as unga and such commodities, would you say that in the 6 months that you have been in power, you've done enough, the most that you could have done as a government?
I think we have done extremely well. When we came in, the cost of unga was between 230 to 250. And at that time, there was a subsidy. Despite the subsidy, which was, which cost the government 8 billion, and which of course was stolen. The unga was 250, between 230 to 250. We have worked very hard. And now unga, depending on where you are buying, is between 170 to 191. As of this afternoon, at Naivas supermarket, it was 178 per 2 kg. And I think coming down to 50 shillings, 45 shillings, without patting ourselves on the back, I think we have done extremely well. And that has been short term. The long term, we decided as a government, and under the wise leadership of President William Ruto, on advice of serious economists, that subsidizing consumption is foolish because it's not sustainable. You cannot subsidize consumption. And the president was well advised, and after analyzing all the advice from all sorts of experts and economists and putting his own thinking into it, decided that the way to go is to subsidize production. And that is why, immediately after coming into office, we set money aside to subsidize the cost of fertilizer. Fertilizer that was going a 50 kg bag at 7,000 is now 3,500. The net effect of that is that the farmers will get a better yield at a lower cost of production. And that benefit will be passed to the consumer. So looking at the way things are going, all factors being constant, God being merciful and giving us good rain, we have prepared the farmers well. In the bread basket, 16 counties, our bread basket, we have sufficient fertilizer. I went to Mombasa personally to oversee the distribution of that fertilizer. I was in Kericho to ensure that it has reached. I saw with my own 2 eyes. All farmers have fertilizer and are ready for the long-range planting. All factors being constant, with God's mercy, we are going to have a bumper harvest with high yield and at a lower cost of production. That should be able to set the cost of unga down 150, 140, all the way to 120. And we believe that if eventually we can stabilize the cost of unga at 120, 110, 115, we think that is fairly comfortable for the people of Kenya. So I think we have done well. So when I see these Maandamano characters making noise at us, the question I'm asking is one. They are telling us that they are going for Maandamano for us to bring down the cost of unga. When unga was at 230, they never called for Maandamano. They were right inside the government. The President Uhuru Kenyatta said his advisor is Raila Odinga. He's on record. Raila Odinga never called Maandamano when unga was at 230. Why is he calling for Maandamano when unga is at 178? It's double speak. Number two, he had an opportunity then, as the advisor of President Uhuru Kenyatta, without having to go to Maandamano. He was part of government. He would have advised his handshake brother on how to bring the cost of unga down. Just how foolish do these people think Kenyans are? These are the same Kenyans who are buying unga between 230 and 250 during the reign of the Handshake Brothers. There is a new government that has brought unga down by 50 shillings, 45, all the way up to 178, 175. I think without blowing our own trumpet, I think we are not doing very badly. We are not doing as much as we would have wanted. But telling us to subsidize unga, we are not going to do that because it's not sustainable. It is foolish. In any case, there is no mechanism that is proven to subsidize unga. We have sat down with millers, and I said I'll speak. 4 billion shillings were released from the National Treasury to subsidize unga. We went throughout this country, and I want to challenge the people of Kenya. No Kenyan anywhere saw a packet of unga at 100 shillings. Those millers are demanding money from us. They only received 1.7 billion, 2.3 billion shillings was stolen. They are saying they did not receive the money, and the money left the National Treasury. We are saying why these people are calling for Mandamano to return the unga subsidy is because the network of stealing that money for unga subsidy belongs to them. So they want us to release another 2 billion, which the National Assembly has refused.
Deputy President, you had a strategy to reduce the cost of specifically maize.
Yes.
In January, President William Ruto is on record in Eldoret saying your government has a strategy to import cheap maize, free duty maize, by end of February. And even the CS for Agriculture, Medical and Turi, including Moses Kuria of Trade, they're on record saying it. But now, after the end of, we are now in March, there's no importation of cheap maize. Kenyans were waiting for this.
Yes.
Where is the maize?
It's good you have asked that question. The maize is not available anywhere in the world. The CS for Agriculture and the PS, the Honorable Mithika Linturi, were in Zambia, which produces maize, and there's no maize available. The only maize that is available in South Africa, and we are in competition with Angola and Rwanda for the same maize. The maize in Brazil, bringing it here because of the distance, the cost is too high. We decided as a government that the government is not going to import any maize directly because we don't want corruption. And the government doesn't want to get involved in importation directly because we don't want scandals. We don't want people in government to get into business. We advertise for millers and other people to apply to be given permit to import duty-free maize so that we can bring down the cost of maize flour. Unfortunately, and I'm sorry to tell the people of Kenya, there is no maize almost everywhere in the world.
Are you now saying that Kenyans should wait?
Listen, I'm just saying it is a difficult situation. It is 2 months ago, almost 3, when we gave people to import maize. And most of those people we gave maize, they are telling us wherever they have gone, they are competing with governments for the same maize. There is a problem of maize availability everywhere in the world. And that is why the president sent Mithika Linturi to discuss on a government-to-government program between the government of Zambia and the government of Kenya. And they have said the earliest they can give us maize is September. So what we are saying is that we are asking, last week, the cabinet approved the importation of another 500,000 metric tons of maize, this time not to freelance importers, but to the millers themselves. And we have sat down with the millers. And they have said that they have established good contacts and they can pool resources together because of economies of scale. They can be able to compete with governments because what is happening is that other governments across the world are competing for the same maize. I don't want to portray a very dark future, but I want to say that it is not easy. And I speak honestly because sometimes I think Kenyans deserve the truth. Okay. Because when you prepare them for the truth, it's normally a good thing.
Right.
Everything is being done, and I was in Eldoret. There are 2 ships in the high seas with maize. And I told the people of Eldoret and Kitale, the farmers there have been holding maize and expecting higher prices. And the prices are already very good at 6,000 per per 90 kg bag. And I did tell the farmers, when these two ships arrive in the country and the maize is offloaded into the market, the prices will come down. Please, release your maize. If the farmers in our breadbasket counties, the 16 of them, agree to release the maize that they have, if they can be patriotic Kenyans, to understand that people of Kenya need food, and the maize they are holding is making the prices go up, if they can agree as early as tomorrow to release the maize that they are holding into the market, the prices of unga will come down even to 140. So I want to use this platform to make an appeal to all maize farmers across the country to be patriotic, to think of their brothers and sisters who are suffering, to consider at the current prices, which are very good, by any standard for the farmer and bad for the consumer, for the benefit of the consumer and the Kenyan people, to consider to release into the market all the stocks of maize that they are holding.
Okay, Mr. Deputy President, thank you.
And again, we have also agreed.
Okay.
The animal feeds millers are competing with human beings for maize for the animals. So what we have done again, the cabinet has approved the importation of yellow maize for livestock, for animal feed millers, so that they stop competing for the white maize, and that will lessen the strain on us. So we are saying the yellow maize that has been approved by government to be imported duty-free for animal feeds, I want to ask the miller, I met them personally, to take advantage of that window, import as much as they can, and produce feeds for the animals. Again, yellow maize, for those who wish, the government does not want to recommend it to anybody to eat yellow maize. But yellow maize is good.
Okay.
If you go to the supermarket, there is yellow maize, and the price is higher than white maize. It's very nutritious. For those Kenyans who may want to consider to consume yellow maize, we are importing, both for human beings and for animals.
When you
Okay, Your
say that
Excellency.
there's no maize anywhere, and I remember the president in his Jamhuri speech, he said maize that was expected in January, an assortment of foodstuffs. That was the wording he used. Then the two CSs came and informed the nation that maize will come. And you've said you are speaking the truth. You've gone around the world, there's no maize anywhere. Did the government mislead Kenya?
Maize is available, but the prices are higher than what we have here, okay? The maize that is cheaper that we can bring in is what is having a problem. You can bring maize as far from Brazil, from America, it's fine. But because of the cost of transportation, when you add the price of maize in America, in Brazil, in Argentina, when you add the cost of transportation, you find that the price will be higher than what we have here, which then defeats the purpose of the importation. So the idea is that we get the millers to join, as they have agreed. There is a lot of maize in South Africa. pull so that they are able to buy in bulk. Because what is happening in South Africa, it is the one that is recommended by governments to go and queue for fertilizer. But as we speak, I want to confirm that we have sufficient stocks of fertilizer across those counties. And progressively, this is a pilot. It's going to be replicated across the country for other crops, not just maize.
Okay, but Excellency, Mr. President, before we transition, you said sufficient fertilizer, but the NCPB in Kitale, Trans Nzoia County, they say they need 400,000 bags of fertilizer. They only received 80,000. A deficit of 320,000.
The process is ongoing. They don't even have the facility to stock 400,000. What we have encouraged them to do is dispense as it arrives. And the process is continuous. Every day, and you know the fertilizer we have bought, we have also encouraged, you know, the bagging and the packing to be done in Mombasa, so that we can also create employment. So what is happening is that it's a continuous process. The bagging and the labeling is going on in Mombasa. We are using SGR, we are using trucks, and we are dispensing the fertilizer as it comes. But we have sufficient fertilizer for the long range for those counties that deal with the production of our grains.
The process is ongoing, yes. This promise of fertilizer started on day one in Kasarani. It's now 6 months.
No, but it's fertilizer. It's not a promise. It's going on.
April is here now.
No. There is the issue of fertilizer is not a promise. It's happening. And I was in Kitale. I distributed fertilizer. I was in Mombasa. Your people were there. The stores are full. The trains are full. In fact, the problem we are having is transportation. The SGR cannot cope with the speed of how we want it done. But the issue of the availability of fertilizer is not an issue. There is sufficient fertilizer in the country.
Okay, Excellency, we are into the last 15 minutes, and we now transition to education, and Nancy Okwari will take us through.
Well, thank you so much. We can start by talking about the transition to junior secondary school. And it has been marred by parents complaining about congestion in classes, lack of textbooks. And recently, when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Education, the Cabinet Secretary said that 55,000 learners, over 55,000 learners are yet to report to junior secondary school. Would you say that as a country, we are well on course?
Well, the CBC is a difficult matter because it was rushed without proper public participation. I remember the former CS for Education, had we proceeded on the initial plan of those young boys and girls going to secondary school, already the parents are having a challenge even affording the school uniform for the junior secondary school. And the president has directed the Minister for Education to make sure that no child is barred from going to class on an account of not having a uniform for the junior secondary school. So I want to say that there are good elements in CBC, but there is quite a number of issues that require serious reform. So we have agreed as a government, we are not doing away with CBC, but there is going to be tremendous reform. And the situation we are in, it is because the previous administration did not have respect for public participation. They dictated a system without talking to the stakeholders. They needed to talk to the teachers. They needed to talk to the parents. They needed to talk to the educationists. And now what has happened is that they have been spoken to, and they have given their views on how to make this system work. We are waiting for the final report, which will be ready before the end of this month, on the various recommendations on how to reform CBC and other reforms in the educational sector, including training, including universities. You know, we have a big challenge in our universities where they are not able to sustain their activities because of lack of funds from the National Treasury. There are various reforms that will be initiated on how we handle our universities. There will be reforms on the TVET sector. So the whole thing, the presidential working party on educational reforms will come up with a holistic recommendation on how to re-engineer the whole educational sector for the purpose of our children and for prosperity, for the years ahead.
Okay. And Excellency Deputy President, when we talk about CBC, there is the pivotal question of teachers, and we are talking about 116,000 deficit at the moment in the country.
Yes.
There is the position of the chief administrative position secretaries in the country. Let's go hypothetical by the number that the former president appointed, 29. You will require 2 billion to maintain all the CASs who will be appointed, though this is not envisioned in the constitution. Why then not refocus this priority? Because this money can employ 5,714 teachers and also employ the 4,000 unemployed doctors in the country. I mean, talking about in the midst of austerity, why do you need the CAS position, for example?
Well, to start with, in matters teachers, there is a very big gap, the way you have said. In 6 months, the Ruto administration has done something that has never been done in the history of this country. We have employed 35,000 teachers so that we can start bridging the gap. Next, if we don't appoint the CSs, then it can go to the teachers. The same argument would, why don't you do away with the deputy president so that we can employ the teachers? I don't think that argument will hold. The president, in his wisdom and governance structure, from time to time will determine the levels of support that he requires to govern. We have found a country that is in a hole. We are trying to get out of that hole. We have found, like now, the Minister of Agriculture is always out of the country for a good reason, looking for maize. He was in Morocco looking for fertilizer. He was in Zambia looking for this. He was in that. He is hardly in the country. And he's not out there having leisure. He's working. He needs to leave somebody here to handle other matters that are supposed to be handled by the minister. Because the PS is there.
Okay.
He is the accounting officer of the ministry. But at the policy level, there's a gap. I was looking for CS Linturi last week. I was going to the agricultural show in Eldoret. And he was not here. He was in some country where the president had sent him. If there was a CAS, that is a person I would have gone to the Eldoret show so that he can make whatever policy pronouncements that he needs to make as a minister there. But I had to recall Inturi from wherever he was. He stopped what he was doing to come back so that we go for the show. Because what happens when you go to meet farmers, when you go to meet exhibitors, there are certain issues that will be raised that needs the minister to be there to make an answer. So, from where I sit, listening to the president, assisting him in the management of the affairs of this country, chairing the cabinet committees, there's a gap. There's a serious gap. And we need another level of helpers to enable us execute our mandate. And the president and I and the rest of us are persuaded that the costs, the benefit of having the CSs will outweigh the cost to it.
Okay.
So that we have another level. And you see, even previously, during those years, there was a minister, there was an assistant minister. When the minister is not there, the assistant minister will go to parliament and answer questions. We are reaching a place where we are getting stuck because, you know, as a country, we have agreed that the model of development is PPP, public-private partnership. We have a lot of work to do to engage with investors across the world. This means that the cabinet secretaries at their level needs to travel to enter into agreements with various countries, with various investors. And what happens when they are not there? There is a gap. So in the next few days, the president will name the CSs. And by the way, it's a recommendation by the Public Service Commission. And those people will go to parliament, they will be vetted. Then they will come and add value to the government by assisting the cabinet secretaries and by, you know, filling that gap where we are getting caught up in situations that are not very neat in terms of service delivery.
Thank you.
We have under 10 minutes to go, and we have a serious issue insofar as our security is concerned. We have woken up to a serious declaration by the CS, and then the announcement that in 7 months, 135 Kenyans have died, including 20 security officers. In 1 week alone, Samburu West, areas of Malaso, Pura, and Kurkur, a dozen killed. 6 people killed in Tot Marakwet. At the time, we have a multi-agency operation on the ground. Is this war winnable, or it's just another, for lack of a better word, waste of time and resources? How do you reconcile the fact that we have a very serious operation ongoing and people are dying? And starting tomorrow morning, there are areas that civilians have been ordered to vacate, meaning that it is another humanitarian crisis. What are the measures to handle this crisis? And yes, did the government think through this humanitarian crisis that will emanate from tomorrow, 8:30?
Thank you very much. I, Riggy G, come from a security background. I have, for 15 years, been involved in matter security. I am trained. I'm a paramilitary officer. I'm trained in weapon handling, in basic combat skills. I understand this topic. President William Ruto has made a decision, and I support him 100%, that this cattle rustling and banditry menace and the nonsense around it must come to an end. It's a difficult decision. It has to be done. There is a lot of impunity in the North Rift and other areas that are prone to security challenges. What has happened is that previously, any time an operation is ordered, previous leaders have taken political considerations and stopped the operations. When leaders make noise because of the elections, they stop the operations. So the raiders, the bandits, have been emboldened by impunity because they know an operation will be ordered, noise will be made, and it will be stopped. In fact, sometimes they have been sneaking to a neighboring country for a few months, and then they come back. I want to tell the people of Kenya, this operation will go on for 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it takes until sanity is restored in the North Rift. What has happened is that when we ordered this operation, and the president asked the military to come in to support the IG, and I really want to thank and commend Professor Kithure Kindiki for his leadership in this matter. He's a cool guy. Many people had demeaned him because of his size and height. And he doesn't shout too much and doesn't have too much bravado. But he has planned well. I have listened to him. We have listened to the commanders. They have got a good plan. What has happened is that these bandits in Suguta Valley and other gorges are using women and children as a human shield so that they can stop the security officers from carrying out their work. An order has been given, all those areas where the bandits are, for people to leave, the women and the children, and they have been given a deadline. Those who don't leave, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. They have to leave. These bandits cannot hold the government at ransom anymore.
Thank you.
We are tired. This matter must be sorted out once and for all, and we are not going to allow criminals and bandits to use women and children as human shield. An ultimatum has been given. We are going to send people with planes and megaphones and ask the women and the children to leave and leave us to face with the bandits. We are willing to have an engagement with them one-to-one.
Thank you.
If the bandits want to leave too, they can leave.
Okay.
But we are asking the bandits to ask their women and children to leave those areas.
Thank you.
And then we can have one-to-one engagement. But this government is a government that will sort out that nonsense once and for all.
Thank you, Your Excellency. At the best interest of time, we have to leave it there. Many thanks for your hospitality, and we thank you for heeding our invitation to talk to the Kenyan people on vast array of issues. Of course, because of the extensive nature, they can't be done within the time frame allocated always on television, but we appreciate your company and your availability, and we look forward to many more engagements. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And this is not right. You are not gender sensitive. Next time you have an interview with me, if you are not gender sensitive, I will not allow you in, even if you accuse me of not respecting press freedom. I think you guys have been criticizing us.
Thank you.
For the two-third gender rule.
Asante.
And here you are practicing discrimination. But I want to thank you for the interview.
Okay.
And we respect press freedom.
Yes.
And we ask you to be objective.
Well, that is
be fair.
The surety that Kenyans are waiting for. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Tunanso Kware, my colleague from the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, Jesse Rogers from KTN News and Standard Group Limited by extension, Duncan Khaimba from Nation Media Group, NTV, that is Giverson Minor from K24 and Media Max, and Eric Munene from TV47 and Radio 47 as well, set for launch tomorrow. And thank you, Your Excellency, for your time and company. Thank you to you too, the Kenyan people, for watching. We aspire to be objective, professional, as we are your avenues for getting information from Kenya and across the world. And we aspire and pledge to hold those in power to account, since all power and sovereignty belongs to you, the Kenyan people. Thank you for watching, and have a good evening.